All right, so the very first couple of questions, granted they're going to be given out all mixed up, but the first set of questions, there's 6 of these, okay, where they're going to give you things like this. So let me start off with something like this. All right, so they're going to want you to solve these absolute value in equations, okay? Now remember, in order to solve absolute value equations, you need to get the absolute value all by itself, okay? So we'll subtract by 10, and we have absolute value of x plus 2 equals to 5. And then once you have the absolute value all set up, then you're supposed to break it up into 2 equations, a positive and a negative, okay? So we have x plus 2 equal to a positive 5 and x plus 2 equal to a negative 5. And then just solve both and you'll find your 2 answers and you're done. So we subtract by 2. Actually, I did it on both of them. Sorry about that. I usually don't do both at the same time, but you're supposed to do the same step on both sides. So we get x equal to 3 on that one. And on the other side, we get x equal to negative 7. So here's my answer. Negative 7 and 3. Okay, I'll try doing another one that's a little bit on the harder side for you guys. That way you can see like the tougher problems, and then the easier ones hopefully would just be easier. Like I could say, like, here's an easy problem. If I were to have started like this with that problem right there, that would have been considered an easy problem to just solve that, right? So let me give you another one that's a little bit more on the challenging side. And if you have questions, please stop me and we'll talk about it. So this is probably going to be the type of question that would be like the hardest one to do on your quiz, okay? Something like this would be like the hardest one to do. All right, so we're going to subtract 10, right? Let's get rid of that plus 10 on that side. So let's subtract 10 minus 10. So I get 9, absolute value of 9x plus 6 is equal to 54. Okay, now at this point, I got to get rid of that 9 in the very front. So let's divide everything by 9. So I get the absolute value of 9x plus 6 equals to 54 divided by 9 is 6. Okay, now notice how my absolute value is all by itself. So now I get to break it into 2 parts, okay? So 9x plus 6 is equal to positive 6, and 9x plus 6 is equal to negative 6. So just start solving the left side and then the right side. So on the left side, let's subtract 6 on both sides. You get 9x equals to 0. And if you divide by 9, you get 0. So let me divide by 9. So x equals 0. So that's one answer. Let's do the other side. We're going to subtract by 6 on both sides. So we get 9x is equal to negative 12. And now you're going to divide by 9 on both sides. So x is equal to negative 12 over 9. I can reduce it by 3. So this will be a negative 4 thirds. Give me 1 second. So that's, well, I can rewrite our answers in a nicer way, right? I can just put it this way. Remember, these notes will be provided for you guys a little later, and the video as well, so you guys can catch up on that in case you happen to not be here. So that is my solution for this problem here. Okay, so we'll move things around, try to get our absolute values all by themselves, and then start breaking it up. Okay, so any questions on these? I mean, these were a little bit on the harder side. I'm kind of zooming out, I know, but here's like question 2 and question 1. Right? Anybody have any questions or concerns on that one? I think these are the harder questions from the whole quiz, but I don't know. Maybe you don't think these are that tough, but we'll see. So let's go to question number 3. Like I said, I'm trying to get 6, okay, if possible, before the bell rings, because we do have a shorter day today. So let's try doing this problem right here. X plus 6 is greater than 4, or x minus 5 is less than or equal to negative 9. So they're gonna want us to solve it and then graph its solution. Okay, so I'm gonna put it right here. Graph the solution. And we're gonna do that for questions 3 and 4. Okay, so for questions 3 and 4. So first of all, you guys should notice this is an OR problem, which means that you know that when you graph an OR problem, they go in opposite directions, right? That was yesterday's homework, right? So we should expect opposite directions. Now let's go ahead and solve each one individually. So for the first one, we'll subtract 6 on both sides. So I get x greater than negative 2. So there's one answer. For the other one, what do I do to get x by itself? Add 5, thank you. So plus 5. Okay, so x is less than or equal to negative 4. Okay, so all I have to do now is draw a graph. So here we go. Now, of course, on your test, they're going to have pre-drawn graphs. I actually have to do it by hand, so I just got to make sure that my negative 2 and negative 4 are there. So I'll do negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, and 0. Okay. Now I have 2 answers. Let's do this one first, okay? That one right there. X greater than negative 2. Is that going to be an open or a closed circle if it says greater than? Open, thank you. At negative 2, open circle. Which way should I go, left or right? To which one? I heard somebody, but I didn't hear. Right? Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit harder to hear with the masks on. And usually students are always soft-spoken anyway, so it's a little tough to hear sometimes. Plus, I'm getting old. All right, so let's get to the other one, right? X less than or equal to negative 4. Is that open or closed circle at negative 4? If it's less than or equal to. Closed, right? Thank you. So closed circle. And which direction? Left or right? Left, okay? So, and remember, it's an OR problem, so this makes sense. Like, to me, I would say that checks out, right? They're going in opposite directions, that checks out. All right? Now, let's try one that's an AND problem, okay? We'll try an AND problem right now and see how that works out. So, let me write it out. 3 plus 8n is greater than or equal to 7 plus 7n. Oh, I'm sorry. I just wrote the wrong one. This is supposed to be, this is an OR. I'm sorry. I apologize. 9m minus 1 is less than or equal to negative 55. And negative 1 plus 6m is greater than negative 49. Yeah, I wanted to do an AND problem, not an OR problem. So remember, for and problems, they should be meeting together, right? They should be kind of like holding hands. You got 1 point here, 1 point there, and kind of holding hands. So, by the way, these two problems are considered the toughest from the 3 lessons that we did, okay? We did one where we just solved inequalities. We did one where we did absolute value solving. And then we did compound inequalities, which is this stuff. This is supposed to be like the hardest of those 3. So if you're not having too much trouble, then great, okay? But, I mean, these aren't too bad, but they're considered to be like the hardest of those 3 lessons. So here we go. To solve, notice the reason why this is considered tougher is there's more stuff we got to move around, right? So let's start off with the left side, 9m minus 1 less than or equal to negative 55. We're going to add 1. So that's going to give me 9m less than or equal to negative 54. What do I do next? For 9m less than or equal to negative 54. Huh? M2?
There's no one in M2.
M2, is that? So let's divide by 9. So we get m less than or equal to negative 6. Okay, so I got one answer. Let's go to the other side. Okay, negative 1 plus 6m greater than negative 49. We're going to add 1 to both sides. So that gives me 6m greater than negative 48. And then we're going to divide. So we'll divide by 6. So m is greater than negative 8. And now just graph, okay? So let's do that really quick. So I need to have a negative 6 and a negative 8 in my graph. So I'll do negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5. So there you go. And we'll start with the one on the left, okay? So m less than or equal to negative 6. So at negative 6, the less than or equal to means solid dot. Okay, so I'm going to put a solid dot right here. And if you look at the inequality, it's pointing to the left-hand side. So we're going to go left. Okay. And then the other one, m greater than negative 8. So greater than means open circle. And it's pointing to the right. So I'm going to go this way. Now remember, since this is an AND problem, we're looking for where they match up, right? Where do they share information? And that's right here. I'm highlighting that area. So that means that my answer is, I'm going to put it in red, open circle, solid circle, and a line connecting those two. That's my solution, that red one. Okay, the other two are just kind of like guides, right? They're saying this one goes to the left, this one goes to the right. They match up between negative 6 and negative 8, so this is where you need to draw your picture. And again, on your quiz, you guys are going to have multiple choice, so you just got to pick the right one. Okay, once you draw it, just pick the right one. Any questions on 3 or 4? I'm just checking really quick. I forgot the time we're supposed to get out at 42, right? All right, so got about 4 minutes. So let me at least try to get one more of these things out here for you guys. The good news is these are the easier ones, okay? So number 5. So I'll try doing like the toughest one out of all of these. Let's see. something that looks like this. And they're going to tell you solve and graph. Like I said, they're going to have some easy ones, okay? Some that are just going to be like x plus 1 less than or equal to 10. Like, they'll have easy ones like that, okay? But let's not worry about those. Those are really simple. Let's worry about some that look a little more complicated. So let's go with this one, okay? And if you want to go back and look at other examples that are easier, then look at the notes, guys. The notes from section 2.1c. They're on Google Classroom. You can always get them there. Okay? So here we go. First thing you're going to want to do, distribute, right? So I'm going to write 38 plus 8x greater than 3x plus 3. Now I'm going to combine like terms. I see my 8x and my 3x. These are my like terms. So I'm going to subtract 3x on both sides. You can subtract any one you want, but I always like subtracting the smaller of the two. So this will be 38 plus 5x is greater than 3. So since I want the x to be by itself, I'm going to get that 38 and I'm going to subtract it on both sides. So minus 38 on both sides. I get 5x is greater than negative 35. Last step, division. Divide by 5. So x is greater than negative 7. They want you to graph it. Notice it's only one answer, right? It's not like two different answers. It's just one. So this one's a little easier to graph. I'm going to put the negative 7 in the middle because that was my answer. I'll put a negative 6, a negative 5. Here's a negative 8, a negative 9. Again, you guys will have a pre-drawn option, so you don't have to worry about doing what I'm doing here. But you do have to know how to graph it to figure it out, right? So it says x is greater than, so greater means it's going to be open circle. And it's pointing to the right, so it's going to go this way. So there's my answer and my graph. Okay, so that's my answer and my graph. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there so you guys have enough time to get your devices.